welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a video about Kali Ma. And what I'm showing you right now is the altar that I have set up for her. And I'll explain why I have what I have up there on the altar. So I'm just also going to let you know that this video will just be looking at my altar because I'm ready for bed and I look, you know, like I'm ready for bed. So I'm just going to start with what's on my altar at the moment. Let's see. Try to get, okay, that looks better. I have a black candle which is representative of the goddess Kali. And I've actually had this candle for over a year. I was going to use it for Halloween. And I always put it off. I never use it. I was going to use it last Halloween. I was going to use it this Halloween. Well, for Samhain. And I never did. Just decided, no, I'm going to leave it as is. I actually got this candle from Michael's about a year or so ago, over a year ago. And it has little studs on it as well. And I picked black because it is representative of her her dark coloring, her supreme being, and she is like the form of timelessness. So I picked this candle, and I like the silver going throughout, so it almost reminds me of like a night sky kind of thing. I used this candle holder. These are my two illuminating candles, and I used this one. This also is one I had gotten for Halloween, that I never used. Let's see if I get a better look at it. It's purple. And that too also reminded me of her coloring, so to speak. This is the card that I'm using as representation, a visual representation of the goddess. This card is from the Doreen Virtue's, I think it's called the Goddess Oracle deck. And the reason why I chose this card is because of what it says. It says endings and beginnings, and then it says, you can't really see it, but it says the old must be released so that the new can enter. And I thought this was the perfect phrasing to focus on when trying to communicate with Kali Ma, because she is the destroyer of the ego. And she may do it in such a way that it may create some kind of upheaval in your life, perhaps, but it's a necessary upheaval to create, to be able to destroy the ego so that you can move into a more, move into the existence that you should be in. So spiritually, you know, in your life, what have you. So that's why I picked that card. I do have another card that I could have used as representation, and this that is this card. This is Kali Ma, and as you see here, and this is the form you will typically see her in. There are several other forms as well, but typically you'll see her in this form with the 4 arms, and you really can't see it here, but she has a garland around her neck. These are made of heads. These are made of heads, and these are arms as her skirt. And I'll explain the meaning behind all of these things later. And who she is standing on is the god Shiva. I know the lighting is horrible. Maybe if I could get it without setting my card on fire. Like there. You can see that she's standing on top of Shiva. And there's a reason behind that as well. You can also see, oh gosh, You can't like that. She has her tongue sticking out. And there's also purpose with that as well. And I'll explain that also later. But this, and this card is actually from this deck, Gods and Goddesses. And it's mantras, blessings, and meditation cards. So, what's also on this altar is, I put this up here so that she will bring me wisdom. It's a rose quartz. This is a bloodstone. She's also the slayer of demons and evil. And there was a point where she was battle crazed and bloodthirsty and basically went on like a rampage. But she was called forth to slay demons, to battle demons. I put up this amethyst cluster for aiding and connecting with spirit. I put up this rose quartz to symbolize her eternal love. And this, which, let's see if I can get in the light. Probably won't be able to see what it is, but this is, you kind of see, this is it's a blue gold stone. I put that up there because it reminded me of, you know, her form, and I related that to her form, so I put that up there as an offering to her. So we'll zoom in here so that you can get a better view of the altar in its entirety. Oh, and the skirting. I have this black cloth, and then I have put, again, this was another thing that I bought for Samhain to use on my altar, and I have used it for Samhain, but I thought this would be perfect. And let's see if we can zoom. Just a bit. This is purple cloth with stars and moons on it. So again, it has that imagery of her timelessness, the association with the night starry sky. But I've actually taken down quite a few notes as well, so I'll be back and forth between notes and things. So to get started, now in that picture that I showed with Kali standing on Shiva, you'll see a lot of I'm really going to try to stop saying you'll see a lot of artworks depicting the goddess Kali with Shiva. Most of them would be that she is standing on him, and that is because Kali Ma and Shiva are both destroyer gods, but not in the sense of that they're evil and they're out to destroy man and things like that. What it is that, as I said, Kali is the destroyer of the ego. She is the destroyer of evil and the destroyer of demons. In fact, in many of the stories associated with Kali Ma that I have read tells that Kali Ma sprang from, I'm sorry that I'm moving around so much. Kali Ma sprang from the goddess Durga's third eye. And she was called forth to destroy these demons that were plaguing the land. And that was her purpose. And so that's what she's here to destroy demons, to protect man and gods alike. Shiva, and as well as Kali Ma, as I said, they are the male and female forces of the destruction of evil for our protection. Kali Ma is actually a very compassionate goddess, and she's very loving. And in fact, she is associated as a mother goddess. Kali Ma is actually one of 4 goddesses who are seen as mother goddess form, or Shakti. And that would be Kali, Lakshmi, Durga, and Sarasvati. These 4 goddesses are seen as mother goddesses, but they're also seen as 4 parts of the mother goddess form, the 4 parts of Shakti. I'm trying to see what I'm missing. There's so much that I want to cover, and I was so afraid I was going to miss some stuff. Durga called upon her other form. Yeah, that's another thing. There are some things that I've read that sees Kali as another form of the goddess Durga. There are some that it doesn't quite say that she's another form of Durga, but like I said, she is part of the 4 who make up Shakti, who are the mother goddess. And now, as I'm saying all this, this is from things that I've researched, over the last few weeks or so. It's not that this is absolute or what have you. These are Hindu deities. I did not grow up in Hindu religion, so this is just from what I have been reading from some books and some things I've seen online, and even some videos I've seen online. So just bear that in mind when you're watching this. Know that this is coming from the research I have done. So if all this information is 100% correct, I cannot speak to that. But this is just me putting out what I have learned about Kali Ma. So Kali Ma was called to defeat a very powerful negative forces. And because Kali Ma is considered absolute power, she is the most destructive and fearsome of deities, as well as the most loving and caring. Okay, sorry about that interruption. So back to Kali Ma. Let's talk a little bit about her appearance. So here again is what she looks like. This is what her head looks like. And you'll see a weapon in one hand, and she'll also be holding the decapitated head of a demon. Then she also has the garland of heads and in a skirt made of arms. And she is standing on top of Shiva. So and if you saw her hair also, she has very long hair. A lot of depictions will show her hair wild, in disarray, long and wild and black hair, free-flowing, looking, like it needs a good combing. But that hair represents or symbolizes her freedom from convention and the confines of what we think things should be like, what we think things should look like, or, like I said, like be like. Her complexion is typically of a dark blue or even black, which is to be equated with the sky. And that is because, much like the sky, they see that Kali Ma is limitless. There is no limit to what she can do. There is no way to contain her, to capture her. Her tongue, usually you'll see thrust out, like she's sticking out her tongue. It's typically a deep red color. I've seen some that it's red because it's coated in the blood of the demons that she had killed. But the tongue represents I don't want to say her dominion over evil, but yeah, it not her dominion over evil, but her killing evil, for her destroying evil. Her upper right arm, which you would see here holding a weapon. I honestly don't know what kind of weapon that is, but her upper right arm represents she grants fearlessness, and her lower right arm represents her offering blessings. She she protects her children and fills them with, gives them their desires. She holds a sword in her upper left arm and a severed head in her lower left arm. Kali tends to be represented as being naked. The only adornments you see on her are the garland of heads and the skirt of arms. And actually, let me see, because I know I have what the heads and the arms represent. Well, let me not skip around too much, because then I'll just forget where I was at. So I'm going to read this passage that I wrote. Kali is naked because she is infinite, so no finite dress can cover her. Her many weapons symbolize her infinite strength and power to destroy human ego and evil. Her waist is encircled with severed arms representing human action. Her red tongue symbolizes our desires, and it's being held by her teeth. And you would see, you can't see it in this picture that I showed you, but you would see her teeth holding her tongue, which that is to represent her controlling those desires. And her teeth are representative of spiritual knowledge. So it's that spiritual knowledge that is holding back the desires, and in effect again helping us against the ego, because that's part of what the ego is your desires. It's not your complete and total desires. That's more of your id. That's what your id is, your pleasure principle. Your basically that's what children run on. Children run on their id. The ego is not like the id per se, but it does run on desires as well. It is through Kali self-realization occurs, as she is the perfect mirror, the infinite reflection of Shiva's formless nature. If Kali's right foot is forward, then that is representative of her benign form. If her left foot is forward, that is representative of her destructive form. So, and basically, some of the swords that you would see Kali carrying are the weapons that she would use to cut through human bondage. And it's like a weapon of knowledge, and that is how she imparts wisdom on us. And again, that is why I have there the wisdom, the crystal that says wisdom on it. It's representative of the wisdom that Kali Ma brings to us. So Kali is not an evil deity at all, by any means. When you look at her form, when you look at this form, it's hard, and I will admit this was a big issue for me as well. When I always saw pictures of Kali Ma, I always thought of her as being something evil because of the way she looked. She looked so fearsome, so scary. And this by far is not the scariest image I have seen of Kali Ma. There are several, there's several where she has black skin. She's completely black, like black like the candle. She's completely black. and her hair is disheveled, and she looks wild and crazed, and you know, and the imagery, you know, the heads look a lot more gruesome in the arms, and it's just a scary image. So that, coupled with, you know, and you hear that she's evil, that does lend to fearing her. And once I began to learn how Kali Ma is freeing us from our ego and negativity, as well as evil forces, and she's giving us the strength to move to that path of knowledge, to grant us that wisdom, to give us that spiritual knowledge. I understood that what I was seeing was not what it was, if that makes any sense. Kali Ma basically tells us that in order to progress in our lives, we need to control our desires. And the way to control those desires is with true higher spiritual knowledge. And I have read that actually, I think I have the book here. In this book, Goddess Bless, which, by the way, is the book that I was missing in my previous haul video. Goddess Bless, and it is by Sirona Knight. And this talks about various goddesses. And it also has affirmations, prayers, and blessings to those goddesses. There's also meditations. Like there's a meditation in here for the goddess Kali, which I have not tried yet. I still haven't finished reading her section on Kali Ma. So, but she does speak of, like, she does give her own personal experience. She even spoke of, I don't want to say too much because, you know, it's in her book, but of her teaching a class, and she was preparing to teach for a class, and she thought she knew everything, and she was so ready, and she thought she was basically the be-all and end-all of this knowledge on Kali Ma. And once she had told the person who was coordinating all this, I guess, her views on Kali Ma, this person went off on her and started screaming. So, you don't understand the goddess Kali Ma, and just went off. And no one could understand where such anger and rage that this woman was putting out was coming from, until she realized that this was a form of Kali Ma reaching out to her. This form of Kali Ma was here to destroy her ego, to get rid of her notion that she knew all, she knew best, and that, you know, she was the be-all and end-all for this class, and that these students would be hung on her every word, and so on and so forth. And this was Kali Ma coming to destroy that ego, to put her in her place. But at the same time, this was necessary so that she could be a better teacher for those students. And there's other things that she spoke about in reference to that story that's in the book. And she did say that people who you ask something of Kali Ma, you might not get it exactly as you want it. Like, maybe it's in relationship-wise with someone, and you're hoping to deepen this connection with the person, but Kali Ma finds that this relationship really isn't for you at all. And so she may end that relationship or bring about forces that will end that relationship. So it does create a chaos in your life. However, that chaos is necessary in order to get rid of what is not needed in your life, so that you can be in that better place. And in fact, reading all that, and it reminded me so much of what I hear people say of the goddess Hecate, people who honor Hecate. And a lot of the videos I've seen of people who honor Hecate, they've said similar things like that. So basically, if you invoke Kali Ma, as far as Sirona Knight is concerned, you better be ready. However, I don't always hear it like that when I'm reading it from, say, sites dealing with Hinduism and things like that. But it does make sense to me if that is how she brings about your knowledge. There is a mantra to Kali Ma as well. It's Om Krim Kalike Nameha. And it's basically loosely, because I can't remember how they exactly said it, but it loosely means, oh great Kali, you know, that I honor you. Things to offer Kali Ma would be red flowers, but especially hibiscus flowers. And I actually intend to order some hibiscus flowers, probably at the end of the month. And if I can find some red flowers, I actually went looking. And I guess because spring is near, the type of flowers they have some red flowers, but I couldn't afford it. Like, you know, roses and things like that. I didn't have money for that. But some of the flowers they had are very colorful flowers, blues and yellows and purples, and they're actually very pretty, but that is not what I'm looking for. So, yeah. But, like I said, Kali Ma is not this evil deity that we think she is. Those of the Hindu faith do understand Kali more so than, obviously, than those of non-Hindu faiths. They understand her destructive side, the necessity for that destructive side. There are those who might think that you must give sacrifices to Kali Ma, and that you must sacrifice animals or give blood sacrifice. And that is not necessarily true. That is not true, really. There were some earlier civilizations that did do that. They did give up animal sacrifices to Kali Ma. But in the Hindu faith, they understand that that is not what she is looking for. She's not looking for these animal sacrifices. And it was actually one, I think it was a video where it said that she even would support vegetarianism. So, oh, and this, by the way, this card that I got, that's from the Gods and Goddesses, which it's not about all gods and goddesses, it's Hindu gods and goddesses. But on the back of the card has mantras, meditation, and blessings you would do to Kali Ma. Like the meditation, it says, "May Kali, who takes away all sins, bring you joy. She was the only one able to destroy the terrible demons Chanda and Munda," which those are the two demons that Durga had called her forth to destroy. Kali gives courage and strength to a warrior on a battlefield littered with headless corpses. She robs the strength of those not devoted to her, though she gives good fortune to those who are. And as for the blessings, I really can't read the the mantras, because I don't know how to pronounce a lot of that. But the blessings say purification of the subtle force centers, ascension of the divine Kundalini energy, happiness and fulfillment in this world, and divine ecstasy of the transcendent reality. So, there you have. This is my video on Kali Ma, Goddess of Destruction. So again, I thank you for watching. Blessed be.